Hi, it's Stephanie from the B2 course. Welcome to lesson 36. So this is going to be a grammar-based lesson, and it's the first that's going to cover the topics of reported speech. My name's Stephanie, this is level B2, upper intermediate, and this is lesson 36 of the course. So let's have a look at what we're going to be covering in this lesson. Well, in lesson 36, you will understand the difference between say and tell. These are two really common verbs in English, but they're used in a different way grammatically. Do you know what that is? Don't worry if you don't, we're going to find out together. We will also increase your range of verbs for reporting speech, and we will have a focus on pronunciation. And in today's lesson, that focus will be on word stress. So as always, there's lots to do. Let's start with having a look at the verbs say and tell. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples, and my question to you is, which one is correct? So let's have a look at the first pair. Sally told me that you were here. Sally said me that you were here. Now, what I'm interested here is which sentence is grammatically accurate. The meaning is the same, but one is grammatically incorrect. So look at the two sentences. Which one do you think? Perhaps you have a feeling which one sounds more natural, or perhaps you know the rule. But in any case, which one of these is correct? Okay, remember your answer, and let's have a look at the second pair. What did you tell him? What did you say him? Again, it's the same idea as the first pair of sentences. Which one is correct? Do we need to use tell or say in these situations? Okay, so have you got your answer? Okay, well, let's check together. So the correct answers were the ones that used the verb tell. Sally told me that you were here. And in our second pair, what did you tell him? Now, do you know why? Well done if you chose those as the correct options. You're right, they are correct. But the important question is why? Do you know why these are correct? Well, when you say who you are talking to, you need to use tell. So if we look at these, Sally told me that you were here. What did you tell him? In both of these, we're explaining who we're talking to, and so we need to use the verb tell. I've got another couple of examples for you. I told him not to be late. The teacher told the students to be quiet. So in these two examples, I told him, the teacher told the students. In both of these examples, we know who we're talking to. So when that happens, you need to use the verb tell. So it's a nice, easy rule to remember. There are other situations in which we have to use the verb tell. Can you think of any? Let me give you one to start off with. We tell a story. We never say a story, it's always tell. So can you think of any other expressions that always use tell? Think along the lines of tell a story. Okay, let's have a look at some others. Tell a joke, tell a lie, tell the truth, tell the difference. So maybe you have two things that look very similar. I can't tell the difference between them. Always tell. So in those situations, you just have to remember it's always tell. Tell a story, tell a joke, tell a lie, tell the truth, tell the difference. But what about say? When do we use say? Well, let's have a look back at the incorrect options from our first exercise. We had Sally said me that you were here, and what did you say him? And we discussed that these are incorrect because we're saying who, and we need to use the verb tell. Sally told me, what did you tell him? So how can we make these sentences grammatically accurate? Do you have any ideas? Maybe just pause the slide for a moment and have a think. How can you make these two sentences grammatically accurate? Okay, let's have a look. Well, you can insert to. Sally said to me that you were here. What did you say to him? So if you're going to use say in these situations, you need to use to. Sally said to me, what did you say to him? So again, nice and straightforward, but it's a very easy grammatical error to make. If you're studying for an exam, this will cost you marks. If you're using English in a business context, obviously you want to create the right impression, and being grammatically accurate will do that for you. Okay, let's have a look at some more examples with say. So if you don't say who you are talking to, then you need to use say. Example, Mary said you would be late. We don't know who she's talking to, so you can't say Mary told you would be late. You have to use say, Mary said you would be late. Or, Mary said to me you would be late. So say and tell are confusing because they do have very similar meanings, but it's the grammar of your sentence, it's how you're going to construct it that will often decide whether you're using say or tell. If you're going to say who, it's easier to use tell or say plus to. If you don't say who you're talking to, then you need to use say. And remember, there are some very specific examples when you have to use tell. Lots to remember. Okay, well, let's have a look at some practice sentences. Let's see if you can get these correct. So very easy. You just need to tell me, is it say or tell? But remember, think about the tense as well. Number 1, me what you think. Number 2, he a joke and the crowd laughed. Number 3, what you want, I don't believe it. Number 4, we goodbye to our parents at the station. Number 5, she me to ask my boss. Number 6, she to me to ask my boss. Number 7, why did you that? And number 8, I am you the truth. So for each sentence, have a look, make your decision, say or tell, but I'd also like you to put it in the correct tense, please. This is upper intermediate, so we need the correct tense as well. Okay, pause the slide and then we will check our answers together. Okay, let's have a look. Number 1, tell me what you think, because I'm saying who, tell me. Number 2, he told a joke and the crowd laughed. Number 3, say what you want, I don't believe it. Number 4, we said goodbye to our parents at the station. Number 5, she told me to ask my boss. Number 6, she said to me to ask my boss. Number 7, why did you say that? And number 8, I'm telling you the truth. How did you do? If you got some wrong, look back at the previous slides to refresh your mind as to the rules. Remember, there are some specific cases: tell the truth, tell a joke. Otherwise, it's very important if you're including who you're talking to. But well done if you managed to get those correct. Okay, let's move on then and have a look at some verbs of reporting. So this is quite an interesting section, I think, and we're going to start with an exercise for you. I'm going to read a paragraph. You'll see it on the screen as well, so you can follow. And I'm asking you, what do you think is wrong with this paragraph? There's something that doesn't seem right about it. So that's your challenge. What do you think is wrong with this paragraph? The team leader said that the sales figures were not as good as he had hoped. He said that in his opinion, this was due to a new competitor in the market. He said that his team had tried many tactics to gain an advantage, but so far this had been unsuccessful. The CEO said that market conditions were tougher than usual, but he said to the team that they had targets to meet. He said to everyone that he would be watching their progress and said there would be an extra incentive. He said the team would have a bonus if they succeeded. Okay, have a look at this slide. Pause the slide, I think is a good idea. Read it through yourself and see if you have any idea. What do you think the problem is with this paragraph? Any ideas? What did you think of? Well, I'm going to give you a clue. Let's have a look at this slide together. You'll notice that I have highlighted all the occasions when the verb say is used. You'll notice as well that this makes it very repetitive. This is a problem. It's not natural to sound so repetitive. But the other issue is that if you only use say is a very neutral verb and it doesn't convey any feeling. It doesn't tell us anything. It doesn't give us any extra information. So reporting verbs are important because they tell us how someone said something. They express the tone and attitude of the speaker. So if we're just using say all the time, it's very neutral. But sometimes people say things with passion or with anger, or maybe they're promising something, and we want to convey this. And we can do it with verbs of reporting. So by choosing a different verb. And we're going to have a look at some examples together. So let's have a look at these verbs. We have admit, advise, agree, explain, insist, offer, promise, and remind. Now, if you're not sure what any of these verbs mean, now is a good time to pause the slide and to look them up in a dictionary or look them up on an online dictionary. So we're going to have a look at these verbs and we're going to think about how they express the tone and the attitude of the speaker. So let's have a look at that first paragraph together. I've taken out all the occasions when the verb say was used. And what I'd like you to try and do is to choose one of the reporting verbs. So choose admit or advise or offer or remind. If you do this correctly, because sometimes there might be more than one option, but if you do this in a certain way, you'll be able to use each of these verbs once. So read it through, think about the tone, the attitude that the person is speaking in, and then choose an appropriate verb. So pause the slide and then we'll check through our answers together. Okay, how did you find that? Let's have a look at my answers. So the team leader admitted that the sales figures were not as good as he had hoped. He explained that in his opinion, this was due to a new competitor in the market. He insisted that his team had tried many tactics to gain an advantage, but so far this had been unsuccessful. The CEO agreed that market conditions were tougher than usual, but he reminded the team that they had targets to meet. He advised everyone that he would be watching their progress and offered an extra incentive. He promised the team a bonus if they succeeded. Now, hopefully, when you read this through with these verbs, you can see how it gives us so much more information. It sounds so much more natural than keep using say, but also it elaborates. It tells us more about the tone and the attitude of the person speaking, and this can be very important. So well done if you managed to choose the correct options there. Okay, so continuing with these verbs of reporting, let's just have a look at some pronunciation work. Look again at these words. How many syllables do they have? So these are the 8 verbs that we've been looking at. How many syllables do each of these verbs have? I'll help you with the first one. The first one, admit. It's got 2, admit. There's 2 syllables. So read the others. It's a good idea to read it out loud. Read these words out loud. How many syllables do they have? Okay, well, hopefully you'll note they all have 2 syllables. But where is the stress? What do I mean by stress? Well, by stress, I mean the dominant syllable. Where is the dominant syllable? Let's think of a word like television. Television has got 4 syllables, television. But where is the stress? Where is the dominant syllable? Is it television? Television? Think about which syllable is the dominant, the strong one. So again, you're going to need to say these words out loud. Okay, so hopefully you will have correctly said that these words, they all have 2 syllables, but the stress is in different places. So offer and promise, the stress is on the first syllable. All of the others, the stress is on the second. Remind, admit, advise, explain, agree, insist. These all have the stress on the second syllable. With pronunciation work, a lot of online dictionaries will give you a vocalized reading of the word, so that's very important. If they also give you a phonetic spelling, often the stress will be marked as well, and this again is very important when you're learning a language at this level to get this correct. Okay, so let's have a look back at our verbs and let's try a practice exercise to finish with. So we have our 8 verbs. We've looked at how they're pronounced. Let's check we understand what they mean. Can you put each verb into a sentence in the correct tense? For some sentences, there might be more than one option. So pause the slide and see if you can choose the correct verb. Okay, let's have a look together. Let's check through our answers. So let me get the right slide. Okay. Number 1, the thief admitted stealing the bag. Number 2, the child promised to behave. Number 3, the train conductor reminded the passengers they needed a valid ticket. Number 4, the teacher explained the answers to the puzzle. Number 5, I offered to help her carry the files. Number 6, the host insisted that he would pay the bill. Number 7, the teenager agreed to be home at 10 p.m. And number 8, the lawyer advised his client to accept the offer. Again, some sentences have more than one option. If you're in any doubt, then it's a good idea to look the verbs up to check that you understand the meaning. And all good dictionaries will use an example sentence. So this was the first of our lessons on this topic. We will be revisiting it again in lesson 38. But our next lesson, lesson 37, is going to be a vocabulary lesson, and it's a very, very topical one because we're going to be talking about social media. This has had a big impact on all of our lives and on the English language. So please join me in lesson 37 to find out more about this. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.